Oh, Wrestlemania. Yes, finally. It took a little while since it's really now been a week since the show happened, but I really want to really what's the word, get some more thoughts coming out of the show for both nights, like a reflection. That's what I'm looking, a reflection on the show, and since it's still kind of flesh in people's minds now, and today we gonna talk about WrestleMania 38 Night 1. Um, I gotta maybe even try if I can. If I'm really lucky, I'll try to record WrestleMania 92 later after I record this. So, WrestleMania 38 Night 1. Wow. Um, I think the best way to describe this show, pretty much both nights, if I'm completely honest, is craziness fun. This was a fun weekend. And I think this was, out of the two nights, I will go through more to the night to review, but this was easily the strongest out of this show. Really, really good night one, WrestleMania. The bill had a lot to be decided. Then I had kind of expectation that the show was going to the later, but the bill in some matches didn't have much anticipation behind it, to say the least. But they did deliver the goods when it counted the most, when they actually care, by the way, which is something that these days WWE doesn't have much careness enough. When they care, they managed to put a fun ass show, and that was how night one was out of WrestleMania. So yeah, um, there was really no pre-show, so let's just skip that. Go to the main card. There was a main card beautiful. The stage looked really nice, I will admit. Better than WrestleMania 35, I would say. Not as good 37 last year, but it was the real. But opening match. Damn, it's kind of shame. The SmackDown Tag Team Championship, the Usos defending against Rick Bruce and Shinsuke Nakamura. Man, I think it went on its way to be a solid match until Rick Bruce got injured. And it was, you can see the spot when it was impressive, but kind of risky considering he held up one of the Usos. I can't remember which, but he held up one of the Usos for a very good amount of time, and then puts his right leg, and I don't know if it was the right or left leg, but he put his right leg onto the ring, like stands by one knee and then lifts it up before doing the suplex, which, man, that had to suck, knowing that impressive spot could get you tear up something in your knee. That was really unfortunate. And then the remaining minutes of that match were 6 KO, so it just it was, and like I said, it was a shame because it went on to pretty be it went on to its way to be a good match, but then the injury happened. Then I think the match was supposed to go longer, and then it ended the way. Then it was really unfortunate. The Usos retained the SmackDown Tag Team titles. Yeah. Um, Drew McIntyre versus Happy Corbin. Isn't kind of striking how Drew McIntyre won two straight WrestleManias, competed for the WWE title, and now this year having to be stored in a crappy ass makeup with Happy Corbin, a gimmick that most people don't even care about. So shame. To be honest, there was much of the match. But for what I kinda saw, it was okay. It was alright, I guess. The kick out of the end of the day was they got a big pop. I will a sort of a big pop. I will admit it got a crowd to mostly right off for it. Drew McIntyre won. This to finally be the end of this feud. And for the Moss and Happy Corbin, I did kind of saw the film Moss kind of distracting Happy Corbin. And then Drew McIntyre hit a claim and get the win. And then afterwards, Drew McIntyre grabs the sword and destroys the ring ropes. Which was... At least he did something with the sword because all he did, everything he got the sword was just standing around doing pose. Like, at least he did something with it, that's what I mean. Really was, it was really nothing special, man. It was alright. Tag team match, oh boy. Rey and Dominic Mysterio versus The Miz and Logan Paul. Oh boy, my boy, Logan Paul. Oh boy. Is it hurtful to say like Logan Paul might be even better than might be? Is it hurtful to say that he might be? Other than maybe Pat McAfee, probably one of the, if not one of the best celebrity guys in WWE WrestleMania history. Because man, did I hate him. That man was it. I hate to be proven up, but boy, did he deliver the goods. This was a really fantastic match. And I will say this, Logan Paul was really fucking great as a heel. The way the mannerisms of him, the way he was talking to the crowd, and him doing the Three Amigos spot with Rey Mysterio, that was fun. And doing the false splash was really good. This was really fun. So this is ironically where the show pretty much pick up from that. From that, everything else just turned up. So yeah, and this was a really good tag team match. I'm always amazed how the fat Rey Mysterio, even at that age and with the amount of knee surgery he has had, the injuries that this guy had throughout his career, he's still performing at a higher level grade, which is not many people in the state can do. Rey Mysterio can certainly do it. I think he's 47, I believe. Can't believe he's wrestled that long and be as good as he kinda ever was now. This was really good stuff. Dominic did parts as well, and the Miz did too. And Logan Paul felt kinda natural being in that ring, so Yeah, the Miz, the end of the match, I think something happened. Then the Miz hit the skull. I can't remember which one before, but the Miz hit the skull crusher from another Rey Mysterio to pick up the win. And then the Miz and Logan Paul celebrate only from the Miz to skull crushing finale. Logan Paul to a huge amount of cheers. Like Logan Paul was just a hated a-hole throughout that entire match. He got by wearing a expensive and he had a expensive Pokemon card. He was just a hated a-hole. He actually got the crowd to cheer for the Miz. Like, it's not every day that Miz gets major cheers, although he kind of had once when he was IC champ back, like, few years ago, but it's not every day he gets major cheers, but so to sing it was laugh, and like, why even try, why even like, bother even going on your Paul had turned face. Supposedly it's in his contract that it's a fake, but I don't know that, but really, like, why even bother? Like, the guy's so much better and more natural as a heel. And Becky Lynch, I love how in the interview after Mania, Becky Lynch had to explain to like Logan Paul, and I know Logan Paul, he even himself doesn't want to be a heel, but Becky had to explain in such a manner that why being a heel can be fun at times. I think she really did a good job. And it was a really fun tag team match overall. Speaking, it's a great segue of Becky Lynch. Speaking of Ben Typex, Raw Women's Championship. Becky Lynch defending against the EST Bianca Belair in the rematch from the 26-second match at SummerSlam. And while I remember at SummerSlam being pretty pissed about, and still kind of am like, they could have given, like, they couldn't give it few short minutes. But it doesn't excuse, almost doesn't excuse what happened. They pretty much kind of made it up throughout that match. Bianca, Richard, Bianca, Belair. This was freaky awesome. Love, like, I love the entrances. Becky Lynch with a Marvel inspired entrance, that was great. Bianca's Marshy band was great. Love the entrance. And I love the 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 early seconds of the match. Pretty much the exact thing at SummerSlam, like like everyone thought back, like, I will admit they had me by the early seconds of that match, thinking Becky was gonna did it again like on SummerSlam, but this time Bianca gets out. When you can see a big relief in that crowd, they were as relieved as I was, as us at home watching that. And after that, it just got snowballed to just levels of epicness to me. Like, for me, this was match of the weekend of that Wrestlemania for me. Bianca Belair versus Becky Lynch. Like, in terms of women match at Mania, I think this might be my personal favorite. Even more so than like Bianca Sasha for last year's Mania, which like I didn't I haven't watched that match since last year. Oh, at least a good chunks of it, but I remember like watching that match like last year, and the reason I said this match is better than the Bianca Sasha match last year, kind of three reasons. Like one, Bianca Belair has gotten so fucking good as it was. Like she always been good, but like the amount of progression of her in ring work, like she Bianca Belair in the ring, she is just as good now than she was ever. Like the progress of this woman has been outstanding for me to view. That she has gotten so much better in the ring. And that's not to say she wasn't good because she was always good, but the progression of her in ring has been outstanding. Two, two, the build in that Becky Bianca match was better than the last year Bianca Chapter, which was really underwhelming in the build up. And three, and this is a big thing, like the thing about Bianca Sasha Banks match for last year's Mania, while it was still great, it it didn't have the sense of like urgency. Like it's kind of suffer like I kind of knew Bianca was winning because it did main event Wrestlemania last year on Night One, so they kind of want to have a moment. So I didn't get the sense of like doubts or urgency, like the sense of the sense of urgency, like I didn't get feel like I didn't get that doubt of like Bianca would win that match last year. This one I did like what kind of obvious, but back Bianca was winning, but like there were really some parts of the match that I didn't think she would win because I mean it's Becky Lynch, like she's arguably one of the most protected women in that entire company. She's main event of the WrestleMania. She might well may have been in next year's WrestleMania, but like it's Becky Lynch, and they can often protect her too much to the extent of other talent. If I'm beyond, I know that's not her decision, knowing from her, but like, yeah, she's like often protected from the comment, but they like I didn't there were some parts of the match where I didn't think Bianca would win, but they pretty much got me into the seats with the moves like poor Bianca, like that poor girl has a swollen eye. It has a swollen left eye during that match. I can't believe she even make it to bar. Goes to show the toughness of. Goes to show how freaking strong she is. Make it to the match where even swollen like 5 hours away. And Becky Lynch, I will give her credit. While her heel runs in SummerSlam have been mostly missable, it's been hit and miss. I will give her credit in like Becky Lynch heel runs in SummerSlam. It seems like they were having trouble to get people really boo her, but and I don't think Becky Lynch like real they haven't like the issue with Becky's heel on SummerSlam is like that he hasn't hit her stride at that but the few months, but she haven't hit that stride as her as a heel. But I will give her credit is that I feel like now with that feud with Bianca, she's kind of striving as a heel. She has become a lot more comfortable, and I think she did the best she could in that feud and in that match to really put over Bianca Belair big on that night. And I'm glad that she did because it was really pretty much the only outcome that they can do. And I really loved the finish with Becky Lynch, where Bianca just kind of played motionless on Becky. Becky almost hit her finish in the manhandle slam, and then Bianca flipped over the middle rope in a great spot, and then hit the KOD. 1 through 3, Bianca Belair is the new Raw Women's Champion in a great match, amazing match. Really, I don't think I have enough words to describe how amazing this match was. This was easily the best match of that night for me. And yeah, for that point, I shall really pick on. And yeah, this was a great match. Bianca, Becky, this problem is that. And like I said before, it just kept the sort of three of, well, two kind of great matches. Next one. Seth freaking Rollins, for weeks, have been struggling to find his spot at WrestleMania. There were rumors of him facing Shane McMahon after the Rumble, but after the Rumble, Shane McMahon had like a big outbreak backstage. Like most of that people on the roster, they even want him to be around with anymore. So Shane left home, pretty much got sent home, and that left a boy for Seth partner. So Seth Rollins was struggling on TV, struggling to have a spot, a match for WrestleMania. He tried to get Kevin Owens, didn't work out. Tried to work with AJ, didn't pan out until the Monday before Mania, when Vince had a meeting with Seth in his office to get him to sign a contract to pretty much tell Seth Rollins to have a match at WrestleMania. So Rollins had that weird entrance with the kids around with the shore. That was weird, but I really like the theme, by the way, with Seth Rollins. And so Seth Rollins came out. He got real tired. Everything about that entrance was just felt kind of off to me. But what wasn't off was the mystery opponent, which Vince told Seth he will have a match with someone that he will not know until he's standing in that ring, which was the opponent was, which to pretty much send CM Punk's return to wrestling, the worst kept secret in wrestling. The American Nightmare, adrenaline in my soul. A crowd is here, about to blow. Literally out from that stage floor thing. Out from that is the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, with the exact same entrance theme, everything from AEW, transitioning to WWE, making his return to WrestleMania was a huge effing deal. That felt like a true WrestleMania moment in that show. Like, that was another one. There was another one yet to come in my favor. At that point, this felt like a true WrestleMania big moment. We just had Bianca win, but now here you get a true WrestleMania moment, and Cody Rhodes, pretty much the American Nightmare, the one that has been creating this whole new revolution, his words, a new wrestling promotion to go against WWE, who pretty much followed the whole thing, and now him coming back to that with that insane persona was kind of surreal sight, surreal sight for me. This was one of the first few surreal moments that I felt having on that show was Cody Rhodes in that whole entrance. That was amazing. That whole presentation, they could have not done that any better than what they did on WrestleMania 38 Night 1. It was a special moment. And the match was really good to great. Like, it can end pretty much hell. You had Seth, who, like, his in-ring work throughout the past year has been pretty much top level class, world class. Like, his Seth has been pretty on fire in that ring. And it helped that Cody Rhodes had that in him to pretty much get. And Cody Rhodes has his track record in ring matches. Like, his aim, it felt like the feeling got that from that match. It felt like an AEW match, but felt different for a WWE match with the big moves, the kicking out finishers. Like, it kind of had a feeling to me of an. It was sort of a mix of like both AEW stylish of match. It was it was great, to say the least. And Cody had to make that statement to show like not only the audience but to people management that he's a much better version now than what he was 6 years ago. Because remember, he was Stardust when he came, and he kind of did the whole Stardust taunt in the early post, which got a great kick out of me. But yeah, but 6 years ago when he left, he was toiling in kind of pretty much a jobber style. Like when in his first one, he always felt like always a make harder, and that Stardust they kind of decreased into like jobber style. Like, the guy was hanging around with the assassin and stuff. Where like it was called the Comic Race Slam at one point, and yeah, he really didn't know whole nothingness, and he needed that sense of urgency when he left. So here he is after building good reputation in the Indies, becoming a star, building like literally founding a second biggest rival wrestling promotion to WWE, to now coming back and him showing that he can be a top guy in that company, which I feel like he should be on movie 4. That was great stuff. Really a great match. Love the finish with Cody hitting with the 2 crossroads, but then hitting his father's move, the iconic elbow drop. That was a great touch before hitting one last crossroad to pick up the win. Him beating Seth Rollins at WrestleMania. Cody could not ask a better return to WWE more than that. Like, he couldn't ask for it. because they did pretty much everything right about on this thing. This was really great business stuff. What's not so great was the SmackDown Women's Championship. Charlotte Flair against Ronda Rousey. Ronda Rousey won the Women's 2022 Royal Rumble in order to have this match with Charlotte at WrestleMania. Oh boy. And then I helped that they had much of a great build up. Like, it didn't really help matters. Like, the build up was pretty freaking boring, to be honest, in most parts. And the match itself is like, it was decent, and like, but like, you can tell some of the spots were really sloppy. Like both Charlotte and Ronda were really off sync throughout most of that match, and they really click. Shocker on Ronnie since the Survivor Series 2018 match between both was pretty great. It was really good, really great. Might be Ronda's best match in her WWE career. Was that Survivor Series 2018 match with Charlotte? And here, it's just for some reason wasn't. It wasn't build up, and it also didn't help that it just followed the Bianca Becky Cody Seth stuff after both matches. It didn't really help much either. So this was, for what it was okay. It was, like I say, it was decent, but it it really wasn't at the level where it should have been. Kind of like really good. Instead was just all right for me. And the finish, like, didn't see kind of believable. Like, Charlie winning with a big boot. Like, seriously. Like, Trinity, finish her off with, like, her finisher, like, the national celebration. Isn't that her move anyway? So why did Charlie win with, uh, with, uh, with a big boot? It's just... I didn't mind Charlotte winning because Ronda to me has been pretty much kind of unimpressive since she came back. The promos are her promo have been pretty fucking bad, and her in-ring stuff has been like good but not great as her first one. Her first run. So I kind of like didn't mind Charlotte Run, but now with the finish, with the referee being down, Ron not having Charlotte that well, the referee didn't say it seems like the feud's going to continue now. It was alright this match, but like really wasn't really good as I thought it was kind of would be, but it really wasn't. It was just subpar. It was average. Then came the main event time, which, if you heard the crowd, pretty much the crowd reaction throughout this entire thing, and comparing, like, if they would have had Charlotte Ronda, that crowd would have been fucking life. That crowd would have been caught off the night with how quiet they would have been. That was the main event. If they listened to that, what the reaction to the crowd to what was the actual main event, you will see why it actually main event. The KO show with Kevin Owens with special guest Stone Cold Steve Austin. Oh. So, first things first, good on Kevin Owens. Main evented his first Wrestlemania, and with someone and him working with someone like Stone Cold Steve Austin. Like, this guy can build this entire feud with Steve Austin all on his own. He pretty much carried that whole feud all by himself. And I really think he did the best and I think he really did a great effing job on that. He got tremendous heel heat in Texas, considering the fact he belittled Texas throughout this feud. And Stone Cold Steve Austin is like, I feel like with Steve Austin, there's nothing quite like an entrance of his, like, and this time he really took like soaking up the moment, considering what was about to happen. He really had to kind of like show the crowd of fans, considering the fact he hasn't pretty much done something like this in 19 years since they were hyping up as of like that. He got to his stage. He got on his ATV. He got to the ring. Kevin Owens literally said, "Stop the whole nonsense." And they had a pretty much back and forth the KO show. The back and forth, verbal exchange, the ring was great. But then Kevin Owens told Steve Austin that he tricked him. He lied to him. He didn't bring Stone Cold just for an in-ring segment. And even though he had a bad back, and Austin's like, he told to Austin that while his neck, his knees, his back, they were all effed up. And then he said he was still fine. Even though it was all bad, he challenged Stone Cold Steve Austin to a fight. He challenged Stone Cold Steve Austin to not just any match, a no holds barred match. And then Austin looked almost lost for words. I was pretty much kind of lost for words throughout this whole thing because I was like, Stone Cold Steve Austin gonna have a match? Like, is this really happening? And then Austin told the audience, asked the audience if they wanted to see him compete in a match against this sack of shit, then give me a hell yeah. Where's the crowd saying hell yeah? And then Austin did say, give me a god ref. He didn't say God, and he like saw a stop at God, and then he said ref, which was funny. But then the ref came out, and holy shit, Stone Cold did an actual wrestling match for the first time since 2003. And like, this was like this surreal moment. This was the most surreal moment for me. Like I never really got to see, for my first wrestling childhood, I never really like watched pretty much almost Austin's career while he was in his wrestling peak. I never really got to watch him wrestle when he was at his prime for like 98, 97, 97 to like 03. I never really got to outlive and to see him go in this entrance on that night and see him wrestle for the first time live will always be a surreal thing because he's probably one of, if not my favorite wrestler of all time. And seeing him wrestle for the first time live in person as a fan was really surreal as a wrestling fan for me. And it says a lot that Austin turned out, like Austin pretty much had the chance to wrestle and do this one time thing many years. For many years, he had the chance to done this and well done great visit. And only now he does it with a guy like Kevin Owens. It also says a lot to WWE that they have that to WWE and Austin that they trusted Kevin Owens to be in this spot against Steve Austin in Austin's first match since 2003. And to do this one time thing, like, I'll bet this is what they had him re-sign for, where Kevin Owens re-signed like late last year. I bet this is what they had kind of had in mind for him. For Kevin Owens, that if you do this, you're gonna be a wrestler and you're gonna work with Stone Cold Steve Austin. And it says too for Steve Austin that he trusted Kevin Owens to be as safe and be protective of for Steve Austin to do this one time only comeback match. And for all it's worth, this was really fun, really good. Austin was not that like, he didn't have the same speed intensity in that match, but we all know why. We all knew why. Like, the guy hasn't been in that ring for so long, so that, like, he wasn't going to have the same. He wasn't like going to be like this old song that had this like great matches like back in the day, but like, for what it's worth, this was pretty good for a Steve Austin match in 2022. Like, he was pretty good, and I think when he was drinking that beer, that gave him more energy throughout my mind. That he got better as the match went on. And I can't believe the suplex on the floor he took it by Kevin Owens on that floor, on the concrete floor into the crowd, in the crowd, since they were wrestling the crowd. I can't believe Austin did that suplex and got up fine. So this was a really good. The finish, a lot of finish were like Kevin Owens hitting us out. I always thought the finish was funny. Kevin Owens hitting the steel chair on the ropes, and then hitting in the hand, and Kevin Owens hit before that. Kevin Owens hit a stunner on Steve Austin, which Austin of course kicked out. And then Kevin hit that shield share, went aiming for Austin with a share shot, but then hit himself. Then Stone Cold hit the starter Owens. 1, 2, 3. Stone Cold wins his one time only comeback match. Like I said, for Hollywood, this was pretty good. And man, Kevin Owens really, and Kevin Owens, like, this was this was Stone Cold was his childhood idol. Like, this man, like Kevin Owens, for him, Steve Austin was his like idol. Like, this Kevin Owens when he's first when he first got to the break into the industry, into the wrestling business, he asked Stone Cold for advice, and Stone Cold said, "Never stop talking, never talk trash, never stop running your mouth," and pretty much gave him the urgency of the character, the persona that he is now. And for that persona now to now be working with that same guy that he asked for advice from in the main event for WrestleMania, it gotta feel good always for Kevin Owens living out his childhood dream. So yeah, this was pretty good stuff. Austin looked really good out there. For this was pretty much good ass stuff. This was fun. And that's the best way to describe this show. Was freaking fun. Like really, really good to maybe even great, man. Really, but this was a but really good mania. Probably one of the best WrestleManias that I have seen in a long ass time. The rating will be down below. So yeah, we'll see you guys for night 2. This was night 1. Like, subscribe. Tell me what you think about WrestleMania Night 1 in the comment section below. And as always, I'm Jason Martinez, and I have proved this message.